Saint Lucia, tucked in the eastern Caribbean, is a place of breathtaking beauty and dramatic history. Nicknamed the Helen of the West Indies, its allure sparked centuries of conflict between France and Britain. For over 150 years, the island changed hands 14 times, 7 French, 7 British. This relentless struggle was about more than land. It was about controlling the sugar trade and Caribbean dominance. Deep harbors like Castries made it a naval prize, and the constant tug-of-war shaped every aspect of Saint Lucian life. Enslaved Africans, brought to work the plantations, endured shifting rulers and hardship, blending French, British, African, and indigenous influences into a vibrant Creole culture. To understand Saint Lucia, you must look beyond its beaches and explore its epic story of survival. From its first peoples through colonization and slavery to independence, Saint Lucia's journey is a testament to resilience. The island's history is not just local, it's a powerful story of the quest for freedom and identity. Even the smallest places can have the most extraordinary stories to tell. This is the story of Saint Lucia. Long before Europeans arrived, Saint Lucia was home to the Arawaks, peaceful farmers who called it Yuanalau, land of the iguanas. They left behind pottery and petroglyphs, evidence of a rich culture. Around 800 AD, the Caribs arrived, fierce warriors and expert seafarers who displaced the Arawaks and dominated the island. The Caribs' mastery of the land and sea and their spiritual connection to nature made them formidable defenders. The pitons, sacred to them, symbolized their bond with the island. When Europeans tried to settle, the Caribs fiercely resisted, using their knowledge of the terrain to launch surprise attacks. For nearly 150 years after the Spanish first sighted Saint Lucia, the island remained in indigenous hands, a rare stronghold of independence. Their legendary resistance delayed colonization longer than almost anywhere else in the Caribbean. The spirit of the island's first people still echoes in Saint Lucia's culture today. Their legacy is one of resilience and defiance. The 17th century brought Saint Lucia into the crosshairs of European empires. Spain first sighted the island but never colonized it, deterred by the Caribs and lack of gold. The English tried and failed to settle, defeated by disease and Carib resistance. The French succeeded in 1651, signing a rare treaty with the Caribs and founding Soufriere. This set off a century and a half of brutal conflict with the British, as both powers fought for control of the island's strategic location and sugar wealth. Saint Lucia changed hands 14 times, each takeover marked by battles and devastation. For enslaved Africans, new rulers meant continued suffering and exploitation. The sugar economy, built on their forced labor, fueled the rivalry and enriched European empires. The island's people endured war, hardship, and shifting allegiances. The scars of this era are still visible in Saint Lucia's culture and landscape. The struggle for Saint Lucia was about more than empire, it was about survival. Out of this chaos, a new identity began to form. The island's story is one of endurance and transformation. Centuries of conflict forged a unique Saint Lucian identity, a vibrant Creole culture. English is official, but Creole, a French-based Creole, is the language of daily life. French place names and British institutions coexist, reflecting the island's dual heritage. Saint Lucians became adept at blending and adapting traditions from both empires. In the enslaved communities, African music, storytelling, and religion mixed with Catholicism, creating new cultural expressions like the La Rose and La Marguerite festivals. These traditions nurtured community and resistance, laying the foundation for a future nation. The Creole soul is Saint Lucia's greatest strength, a triumph of creativity over oppression. It lives on in music, food, and the warmth of its people. Saint Lucians turned fragments of empire into a rich, enduring tapestry. Their culture is a living testament to resilience and ingenuity. Slavery was the engine of Saint Lucia's colonial economy, with generations of Africans forced to labor on plantations. Despite brutal conditions, resistance was constant, through sabotage, secret traditions, and escape. Maroon communities formed in the island's rugged interior, symbols of freedom and defiance. Colonial authorities tried and failed to crush them. The Maroons' determination was unbreakable. The abolitionist movement in Britain, the Haitian Revolution, and economic decline shifted the tide. In 1834, the Slavery Abolition Act ended slavery in Saint Lucia, but true freedom was delayed by years of forced apprenticeship. Full emancipation came in 1838, transforming society as many left plantations to become independent farmers. This reshaped the island's economy and social landscape. The journey from slavery to freedom was long and hard-fought. The legacy of those who resisted and survived endures in Saint Lucia's spirit. Emancipation marked the true beginning of a free Saint Lucia. The island's people had claimed their dignity and future. Their struggle paved the way for the nation to come. Emancipation was only the start of Saint Lucia's journey to self-rule. For over a century, it remained a British colony, but local leaders began demanding change. Political parties and unions formed, pushing for rights and reforms. The West Indies Federation in 1958 was a bold experiment in regional unity, but it collapsed, teaching Saint Lucia valuable lessons. In 1967, Saint Lucia gained control over its internal affairs as an associated state. Sir John Compton led the final push for independence, arguing Saint Lucians were ready to govern themselves. On February 22, 1979, Saint Lucia became a fully independent nation. The new flag rose, symbolizing the island's unity and hope. After centuries of foreign rule, Saint Lucia finally charted its own course. Independence was a moment of immense pride and possibility. The island was ready to face the future on its own terms. Today, Saint Lucia shines as the pearl of the Caribbean, famed for its natural beauty and vibrant culture. The Pitons, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and lush rainforests draw visitors from around the world. Tourism drives the economy, but the island's true strength is its people. Saint Lucia boasts 2 Nobel laureates, Sir Arthur Lewis in economics and Derek Walcott in literature, remarkable for such a small nation. The island faces challenges, climate change, economic vulnerability, and opportunities for youth. Yet, Saint Lucia's history is one of resilience and adaptation. The spirit that resisted colonization and fought for freedom still guides the nation. Saint Lucia's story proves that greatness is measured not by size but by heart and perseverance. Its journey continues, shining brightly in the Caribbean and beyond.